So we now move to the first year experience in the Institutes of Technology, and Dr. Jim Murray, Academic Affairs Manager with Institutes of Technology Ireland, will introduce the topic and the speakers.
Good afternoon, everyone. When we first sent out a call to our colleagues across the sector for submissions for papers for this conference, the overwhelming majority of the returns were concerned with the issue of the first year experience and foundational skills. So much so, in fact, that we could easily have run one or even two conferences on this topic alone. Indeed, as part of our ongoing work on transitions, I think this is something that we will pursue further at some point. I suppose the important point about all this is that there is a great passion in the sector for improving the first year experience of IoT students and ensuring that their foundational skills are secure as they progress through their programs. In our conference paper, we provided a snapshot of the different activities that are being undertaken across the Institutes of Technology. All of these activities are designed to improve the learning experience of our particular student cohort. They are reflective of the fact that we are providing access to students to higher education with a much broader range of prior educational attainment that would have been the case in the past. And they are generally grounded in or emerge from research and reflective practice. They're also very student-centered, and picking up on some of the points raised in the student Vox Pops, they are designed to take account of the diversity of learning styles among our students. I think that came across quite clearly, that different students need different approaches to learning. You'll see in the conference paper that the first year experience activities are wide-ranging, covering areas such as peer-assisted learning, supplementary teaching in subjects such as, and I'll allude to Vivian's comments earlier, maths and ICT, learning style screening, targeted student retention interventions, learning to learn at third level. I could go on. But rather than be talking in general terms, we're going to have two presentations which are representative of this work as a whole. But before introducing the speakers, I'd like to make one final point. We are acutely aware of the need to leverage the first year experience work currently being undertaken in the sector on a system level basis. And to this end, we are committed to establishing a dedicated forum for the enhancement of the first year experience in the technology sector, which will focus on the characteristics of entrance to the sector. This activity will build upon existing institutional activities and existing collaborative activities, such as those carried out by the sector's Learning Innovation Network, LIN, and will link in with the work of the National Forum for Teaching and Learning. It will endeavour above all to cement and address the connection between access, opportunity and retention, including the development of foundational and transversal skills among our students. Anyway, that's enough of me. I'd like to introduce our speakers for this session. Our first presenter is Michael Barrett. Michael is going to speak about a targeted approach to student retention interventions. Michael joined IT Sligo in 1999 as a lecturer in computer systems and has been a head of department since 2004. He was seconded to the Registrar's Office in 2007 to lead the Institute's modularisation project and is currently a student on the DBA in Higher Education Management in the University of Bath. His research interests include student retention and the student experience. Our second presentation, which will immediately follow Michael's, is a joint presentation by Karina Ginty of Galway Mayo IT and Nuala Harding of Athlone IT. Karina Ginty has held a number of roles in GMIT since 2004, including manager of the SIF2 student-led learning and curriculum reform projects, with partners at Lone IT and NUI Galway. She has also lectured in business and held the roles of schools, among other roles, the Schools Liaisons Officer position. Nuala is the Learning and Teaching Coordinator in the Athlone Institute of Technology and is responsible for the activities of the Learning and Teaching Unit, which is dedicated to the support and advancement of learning and teaching in the Institute. She is also Programme Coordinator for the Postgraduate Diploma in Learning, Teaching and Assessment. And Nuala and Karina will speak about a first-year experience learning support package offered jointly in GMIT at Athlone. So, over to you, Michael.
Good afternoon. A hard act to follow, having followed the videos from the students, and actually hopefully a lot of the things the students said should resonate when you hear my presentation as well. So first of all, just introduce myself. I'm Michael Barrett, and I've been the head of modularisation in IT Sligo since 2007, and my presentation today is on the Student Institute Fit model, which I'm developing as part of my doctorate in business administration in the University of Bath as an approach to student retention. My presentation offers a diagnostic tool suggesting the correct type of intervention and will make recommendations at institute and sector level. To start, I'd like to pose some questions. Do all students have the same needs, require the same supports? And for a particular cohort of students, what are the most likely issues they're going to come across and supports they'll need? And with increased participation rates, what are the likely challenges? A word of caution, firstly, my model focuses on non-mature students because mature students bring cultural and social capital into play, which positively impacts on their outcomes, with many mature students outperforming their peers on similar CAO points. Okay, why I think these questions are important. I think success in higher education bestows many advantages to the students who are successful, their families and societies, allowing families to escape poverty, build satisfying careers, and become positive role models for their community and family. The economy benefits by acquiring skilled and educated workforce. However, there is a risk of failure and the negative reinforcing effect that this can have on students experiencing social disadvantage and their families and communities. The idea from the model came from a course assignment where I examined data on 120 computing students, 2 cohorts, and their progress through higher education. For this initial study, I used HEA survey data, CAO data, and examination records. Currently, I'm embarking on a larger study for my thesis, which involves 250 students across 5 programs. And in addition to the original data, I'm combining this with information from student surveys, focus groups, and interviews. So, are all students the same? One model which I used as a foundation for my research was 2005 work by Reason and Tarzani, and this identified that students had different pre-college characteristics. These characteristics feed in at an organisational and peer environment into college, and the students bring these characteristics to bear in their college experience, and this can lead to persistence. So the students aren't the same. They have socio-demographic traits, they have a level of academic preparedness, and have their own student dispositions. So the model the model I developed, the first part can be looked at. I look at the students based on their previous academic achievement and their socio-demographic profile. And for their academic preparation, I use CAO points, and I use socioeconomic class, parental socioeconomic occupation as a proxy for social and cultural capital. And what I'd done then was I scatter plotted the as data points on a diagram with CAO points across the bottom and socioeconomic class with the higher classes, employers and managers towards the top, and agricultural workers on the bottom. And I noticed something very interesting. The first thing I noticed was when I plotted the line of best fit, there was this positive slope to the line. That's the red line. So when I looked at the points, that slope means that there's a positive relationship between socioeconomic class and CAO points. That's to say that students from a higher socioeconomic class in general have higher CAO points. The other line on the chart is the black line from top to bottom, and this was the line that I plotted where students passed the program. So students to the left of the program are more likely to fail, and students to the right are more likely to pass. Looking at this line is also sloped, and what this slope tells us is that students from a higher socioeconomic background tend to complete the program with lower CAO points than students from lower socioeconomic backgrounds. So higher socioeconomic class therefore infers two advantages to the student. One, they generally have higher points, and two, generally they can complete the programme with lower points anyway. So the students from the lower socioeconomic classes generally have two hurdles to overcome. So when it's split up into four quadrants, when we relate to what some of the students said, one man in particular said it was very important that he made friends and valued those friendships. We can see that below the line, below the red line, what's very important is peer support and mentoring to bring the student, to give them extra social and cultural capital to sustain them through education. And when we look to the left of the line, then generally the deficiencies are technical from the prior education the students have to prepare them for third level. So when we look at the four quadrants, we can say that if we look at the top right-hand quadrant, these students have higher capital, a higher previous academic attainment, and are more likely to complete third level without intervention, or if they require intervention, they have the skills to seek it out for themselves. The group on the bottom right immediately below that, these students have the ability to succeed, and the problems they have are generally around confidence, and we can help build this confidence by clubs and societies, peer mentoring, all the things that I mentioned in the student talks. As we move to the left of the slide, we can see in the top left-hand quadrant, these are students with from a higher socioeconomic class. So generally, if they have a problem, their parents will have been through third level. They can advise them if they have a problem. And generally, these students, the skills are technical. So we need to deploy maybe maths tutorials, English language workshops, those sorts of things. And the quadrant that we really need to put the work on is the bottom left-hand quadrant, where these students have are challenged in the prior educational levels, and they're challenged with excuse me, they're challenged in the social and cultural capital. So these students need a lot more support. They need peer mentoring and club societies like the right-hand students do. They need tutorials like the students above them do, but they also need very targeted interventions like personal development plans, very much one-to-one. Okay, so the tool also is very useful because it gives us a socioeconomic and academic profile of the cohort. It also gives us an indication about how coherent the student group is, and it gives the people managing the programme an indication of the types of problems that the students may encounter on the programmes. Okay, so have we any possible solutions? Where does this all lead? Okay, so I filled in the other part of the model now, and in the top right-hand part we've targeted interventions, and below that there are some things we can do around programme design and institute policy. The targeted interventions I mentioned already in the different quadrants, but as regards institute policy, the idea of the biro, why did I put a biro up here? It's from my operations management course. One of the things I learned in manufacturing is that products are designed to be successful. So there's only one way to actually put that biro together successfully, so it's not actually possible to get an unsuccessful biro. And I think we need to build this success into our students and what we do in our programme design. We need a programme that's the best fit for the student and most appropriate for the individual journey the student's on. What's the best fit for the student? Is it a level 6, a level 7, or a level 8? And what programme provides the appropriate challenge and duration for students? So, for example, we could look at below certain points thresholds having level 6 programmes being offered to students exclusively, at a higher threshold level 7 programmes, and at higher levels again level 8 programmes. One of the challenges I hear from talking to staff is that when the points are low and there's a broad spread of abilities in a class, really how does the lecturer teach this class? And what to do is to tend to go sometimes, I think, for the middle ground. And in the middle ground, you don't challenge the very good students, and they get disincentivized. And in my study, I found some of the higher point students actually dropped out of programs. And you don't bring along the lower students either, and you kind of bring along the middle ground. By targeting the intakes at point levels, we can provide very specific interventions to the students. So we can see on the right-hand side in the level 8 programs, hopefully we shouldn't need to give those students technical interventions. It's really around encouraging them to join clubs and societies and peer support, that sort of thing. And as we move from right to left, we're giving more targeted support. So we would teach a level 6 student below the points threshold completely differently than the way we would treat a level 8 student, or treat a level 8 and teach a level 8 student. Of course, we will have progression pathways, and this was always a strength of the RTC and the IOTI system, that we had a ladder of progression, and it was pathways from level 6 through to level 8, so that the students can get comfortable with education at level 6, and as to build their confidence and social and cultural capital, they can move on to level 7 and level 8 programs. Also, what's very important is we need transfer and exit options for students who may decide the program isn't for them and want to exit at an earlier level, an exit award, as you may. Okay, so what strategies does the model suggest? Okay, so we profile students based on entry criteria. Based on that profile, we align the supports for those students. We knowing the profile we're targeting our program at, we design the programs at the appropriate level to offer the best outcomes for students, allowing each student to develop to their potential. For this to work, we need a consistent approach across the sector, if there's to be value in it, because if different colleges target, come in, drop the points, say, down very low in say, a level 8 program, there's no incentive then for students to go to another college to a level 6 program that more meets their needs. And we need, within a program, looking at the cohort of the students and appropriate targeted retention interventions. In conclusion, there's a relationship between CAO points, socioeconomic class, and student performance. We need to better understand the student potential for success at entry and to maximise that potential, and the ladder of progression should be emphasised within our systems. What we want is happy students who all graduate successfully at the level of their ability, and thank you.